It's finally Friday. It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
Welcome back to the Friday show presented by the Match Series, which takes a week off. But last week there's some good racing at Monmouth Park. And at the top of the standings, Mary Epler, the trainer based at Laurel, has the top two horses in the overall standings, with Paige McKenney and Oak Bluffs both with 22 points. They'll pick the series up next week. Monmouth Park has a race on turf, the Incredible Revenge. And on Sunday of next week, Laurel presents the Polynesian Dirt Sprint. I'm Ray Paulick, along with Joe Nevills. Scott Jagow is still out there on vacation. I think he's cruising somewhere on the Great Lakes. Joe, he was up in your old neck of the woods in Michigan.
Yeah, I'm a Michigan native myself. I'm following Scott's Instagram very closely, seeing all of the landmarks he's been hitting. He's been very poetic in his joy of experiencing Michigan, and I'm glad to see it. It's a lovely state if you know the right places to look.
Yeah, I don't. So, last week we did not talk about Justify, whose retirement was announced just as we were taping the Friday show. But he left Del Mar earlier this week for Kentucky. He is now tucked in there at Windstar Farm. There could be an announcement soon as far as where he's going to stand. He could stand at Windstar, or, of course, there was the talk that Coolmore made a significant offer to buy him during the Triple Crown, and he may very well end up there. But let's not talk about his stud career. Let's talk about the racing career he had, and also where does the division fit? He's 6-0. It's hard to believe, from my perspective, how anybody can beat him for Horse of the Year, but we've still got all of August through Breeders' Cup with major races to run. So how do you size up where we are right now in terms of the 3-year-old crop?
Well, obviously there's a man up top, Justify, and beyond that we have a bunch of other horses trying to figure out where they fit in the world. Looking at a snapshot, if we use the Kentucky Derby field as a snapshot, the 20 horses that ran, of those 20, 15 of those Derby starters are either unraced since the Derby or are winless since then. 6 of those are retired, out for the season, or out on a long-term freshening, and the only multiple winner since then is Justify. So we have a lot of horses that are still trying to find themselves here. You know, we've had some good updates recently. Good Magic ended up winning the Haskell. Hofburg won the Curlin. Ferenzi Fire came back, shortened up a little bit, won the Dwyer. Promises Fulfilled also doing really well, shortening up, won the Amsterdam Stakes. But, you know, in terms of finding out who is going to be the next horse up, there's still a lot to be decided here.
Well, under what scenario is Justify not going to be a Horse of the Year? He can't do anything to help or hurt himself from here on out, but who can help themselves?
Who can help themselves? Well, there are 2 fillies in particular that I have my eye on. The first is the most obvious one, Monomoy Girl, already 5 for 5 on the year, won the Kentucky Oaks, won the Acorn, won the CCA, won the Ashland, all Grade 1 events. If she keeps going undefeated, winning, and then goes out and does something crazy and, you know, wins the Classic, wins the Dirt Mile, wins one of these, you know, open races against males, beats the boys, especially older males, pulls a Harvard Grace, pulls a Rachel Alexandra, it's going to be tough for voters to overlook a Triple Crown because I don't think they've ever done it in the past, but boy, they're going to have a conversation there. Another one who, if she takes a similar tack, would have to go even crazier in the facing and beating the males category is Wonder Gadot. I think she's done enough losing earlier in the year. She lost twice to Monomoy Girl already, so she would have to slay that demon and go on to beat the boys repeatedly. She's already won the Queen's Plate and the Prince of Wales, but she still doesn't have a graded stakes win on the year. If she does something, she'd have a much harder case against the types of Justifies and Monomoy Girls of the world, but it could happen. Crazier things have happened.
What about the older division? Where are the stars there? Who's got Horse of the Year potential in the older male division?
Well, if we're talking about Horse of the Year potential in terms of who might finish third, you know, somebody's got to be that third ticket on the Horse of the Year ballot. I guess we could look at Accelerate. He's done very well winning in California. He's won 3 graded stakes races at Santa Anita this year, went out to Oaklawn and ran second in grade stakes out there. So he's one that we're going to have our eye on going forward. And beyond that, I mean, West Coast is one that showed a lot of potential, running very well in the Pegasus World Cup and the Dubai World Cup, but he's been off for most of the season. He didn't win either of those races, so that's going to be tough to come back from, even if he does win a nice fall prep and win the Classic. And beyond that, there just really aren't a lot of killers in that division. I don't know who's really going to be one to step up and be a Horse of the Year contender at this point in time. There's still half a year's left of season to run. We've still got Saratoga. We've still got 2 handicap division races in Saratoga. We've still got Del Mar. We've still got the Breeders' Cup. So there's a lot to be decided, but right now everybody's looking up at Justify.
You sound like a Mets fan trying to make a case for the season's not over, It's over.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
It's over. There's some great racing to have. Well, let's go back and we can look at a horse like Tisnow, who was Horse of the Year as a 3-year-old. During the Triple Crown, I don't think anybody had ever heard of him.
See, but the difference there is that the Triple Crown was not won that season. We had Fupeg win. We had, I don't even remember who the other two
was it Red
Triple
Bull
Crown
and
races. Yes, it was Red Bull in the Preakness, and was it Commendable in the Belmont?
Could be. That's
Could be
commendable
like,
if you can remember those, actually.
Exactly. So we're talking about, we don't have that monolith that a horse like Tisnow would have had to leapfrog going into the fall season. It was still very much open at that time, so at least in the 3-year-old division. So this is very different circumstances like that, but like you said, it has happened before. There is a precedent there of a horse getting that strong fall campaign and using that to clinch Horse of the Year.
All right, well, we've got a poll on the subject, and I know how I'm voting, but here's our poll. Is there any scenario under which Justify will not be voted Horse of the Year for 2018? All right, well, Joe, you are up in Saratoga. I'm in Del Mar, and you're up there for a sale.
Couple sales.
A couple sales, the Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale next Monday and Tuesday, and then the New York-bred sale presented by Fasig-Tipton the following weekend. You go to a lot of horse sales. What's different about Saratoga than your run-of-the-mill horse sale that you've been to?
The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga Yearling sale is very much a see and be seen type sale. It's a place where people spend a lot of money, more so than usual on the typical yearling sales, usually. And it's one that really benefits from proximity and history. The Fasig-Tipton Saratoga sale has been there since the days of Man o' War. Man o' War sold there, I believe, in late 1900s. So there's just a very deep-rooted history with Saratoga and thoroughbred auctions. And it also has the benefit of being right down the road from Saratoga Racecourse. Owners, trainers, buyers can walk right down the street, look at the horses, come back to the races for their horses, watch their horses run. They come in well in advance, and the catalogs are small enough that you can pull off looking at the horses in the morning, then just walking down the track and going to your races in the afternoon. And it's really handy. A lot of the industry's major players are in Saratoga anyway, so you just have a very good, perfect storm of having all the right horses, having the right people, and having the right bank accounts.
Well, I've always liked the fact that the sale is after dinner, and I've seen many a time where an owner may go out to dinner with no plans to buy a horse, has a couple drinks, a bottle of wine. The next thing you know, he's got a few horses in his stable that he didn't plan on having. So there's that element too.
Absolutely. Let's put a little focus on the wine there.
All right, so with this year's sale, there's a lot of first crop sires. What are you looking to the most among that group?
Well, the obvious one is Triple Crown winner American Pharoah. He is tied with Liam's Map for the most yearlings cataloged in both the Saratoga sale and the New York-bred sale combined. They both have 16. All but one of those, I believe, for American Pharoah are in the Saratoga sale, so he's going to have a lot of representation here. Very much looking forward to that because, this is a high-profile first crop and a high-profile yearling sale. I think there's going to be a lot of people looking at these horses. There's going to be a lot of people bidding on these horses. It wouldn't floor me if one of them ends up topping the sale just because history's shown American Pharoah had the top, I believe he had the top short yearling at Keeneland January. He has had very high-selling weanlings so far in the last mixed season. So there's no reason to think that he's not going to come to a high-profile sale like this, one where people are looking to, spend money, get their name on that ticket, and get the American Pharoahs out there, and he should do well. Other ones that I have my eye on, as I mentioned, Liam's Map. He's going to have very good representation of both these sales. I love what I've seen from the Honor Codes. Both of those are residents of Lane's End, and really those two are going to be tough to beat. Carpe Diem as well. He's got a lot in there of Windstar Farm.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first yearling crop for Palace Malice too.
Yes, Palace Malice very well received at the Fasig July sale, so it'll be fun to see how he keeps that momentum going now that we have the horses matured enough into the yearling season.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show. Ray Paulick with Joe Nevills. Scott Jagow will be back in action next week. This is presented by the Match Series, which is taking this week off and resumes next week at Laurel Park and at Monmouth Park. We'll see you next time.